Let's bring in Lorenzo Kamel. He's a professor of international history at the University of Turin, and he joins us from Munich today. Lorenzo, thank you very much for your time. Dialogue is the only way out, they say, but what happens when neither side is willing to negotiate?
Yes, first of all, let me remind everyone that August is a highly symbolic month in the Iranian national psyche. This month marks exactly 120 years since the 1906 Iranian constitutional revolution, the historic fight for homegrown democracy, and 73 years since August 1953, when Mohammad Mossadegh, the Prime Minister of Iran, was overthrown following a coup staged by the US and the UK, exploiting internal Iranian dynamics. So this historical memory is precisely the reason why many Iranians view current events through the lenses of sovereign resistance. And we should take always into account this elephant in the room when we discuss about negotiations, so on and so forth. But coming closer to your question, let's say that both sides, the Iranian and the American side, are setting the highest possible entry price for negotiations. And the real battlefield is not the public statements that we are hearing by Trump and so on, or also by Iranian authorities, but the back channels currently hosted by Oman and Qatar. I think that neither side wants an all-out war, but it's clear that neither can afford to look weak domestically.
August might not be the month to get a deal then. What do you make, though, of this news that Pakistan's Interior Minister is now in Iran?
Yes, let's say, first of all, always take into account also following what you are showing to us that one thing is certain: without addressing the Palestinian issue in a just way, the region will never experience any long-term sustainable peace. So also the US-Iranian deal is at best a temporary truth. We know that there are other parts of the war. Think about the Korean War. It's the most famous example of a conflict that ended on paper while hostility remained unresolved. So let's say that something very similar is happening also here. So without addressing the structural issues, Pakistan or other actors can have very limited effect. That now, winning peace, that is much more difficult than winning war, beside the Palestinian issue, require a new negotiated regional order that is accepted first and foremost by local powers and local players. Now, let's say that Iran so far was unable to win, in this sense, peace. Maybe that it won to a large extent this war, but it was unable to win peace. Although now it has somehow the status and the leverage to try at least to get closer to that result. So far, it was unable to do so.
Which begs the question, what is the risk that this falls into an immovable stalemate, or are we already there?
Yeah, let's say that stalemate we are already in a stalemate, but let's say that holding the US accountable for regional devastation, Iran is refusing to give Washington any room for let's say, a face-saving deal. The agreement that has been discussed in the last few days, partially solves an immediate, let's say, political crisis for the Trump administration related to oil prices, related to, let's say, more time to restock inventories. But let's say that also at the same time surrender long-term strategic dominance to Iran in relation to Hormuz. So in this respect, we see that all this brings a clear stalemate and narratives that we are hearing. For instance, there was the US Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent that was claiming that Hormuz will become irrelevant in a couple of years, as about 50 to 70% of the energy traffic will shift underground pipelines. So these kind of narratives that we are continuously hearing are largely face-saving narratives that serves as a narrative to prepare domestic audience for let's say, meaningful geopolitical defeat. So let's say the stalemate is there, but according to what we are seeing, Iran has many cards in its own hands.
Lorenzo, thank you very much for your time. Lorenzo Kamel joining us from Munich.